truth, wisdom, empowerment. Urban Family Talk, a ministry of the American Family Association.
If you look at the third verses of the national anthem, it was written saying that the writer, I forgot his name, was glorifying, attacking slaves that was trying to escape. And I think it's a big agenda involved, and we're facing in our generation something that I guess history kind of repeats itself.
Yeah.
But my argument would be to that it's a reason they took those verses out. Going forward, and I just think that we have to be careful.
Yeah.
As Christians and Americans, to hang on so much to the past, because what that person wrote it for, his intention is not my intention when I say the national anthem. Even those, those verses that been left out, I just feel like it's not in there for a reason, and that's all I got.
Man, thank you so much, Juan. And let's kind of talk about that for a minute. I know I see the callers that are there. And if you want to give us a call, you can call 866-963-2037. But Juan brought up a point about the flag and the third stanza and how, that's been kind of an uproaring thing right now. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Man. First of all, our national anthem, the verses are not intentionally left out. The national anthem actually was originally a poem written by Francis Scott Key on September 13th, 1814. The poem has 4 stanzas to it, not just 3.
Okay.
Not just 2. When the anthem is sang, we only sing the first stanza of the national anthem. You could imagine if you sang all 4, it would probably be a lot longer than it sang before ball games.
Yeah.
The third stanza, I'm going to read the entirety of the third stanza. I really should read it all, but I know time constraints. But the entirety of the third stanza reads, "And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." The entirety of the Star-Spangled Banner has absolutely nothing to do with American chattel slavery. The reference to, and notice, they don't just say the slave. It says, no refuge could save the hireling and the slave. What Francis Scott Key, and listen, this is saying nothing about who he was as a person, the thing that he did. I'm conveying the context of the meaning of the song. What Francis Scott Key is drawing on is something that would have been common knowledge for all Americans in 1814, that the British Army engaged in a process called impressment, where it would conscript soldiers to fight its wars, to fight in its military from other nations. For example, at this time in America's history, the American populace would have been completely aware of George Washington fighting against Hessian troops. Hessians are Germans, 30,000 Germans who fought on the side of England against the Americans in the American Revolution, who George Washington led the American revolutionaries to defeat. The celebration of defeating the hireling and slave is a pejorative reference to the way that Americans referred to those non-English soldiers who were conscripted to fight on England's behalf. They were saying that we are fighting for the American land. You're not even English, but you're fighting as slaves to that tyrannical dictator King George, which is why the reference is to the hireling and the slave. I would submit to you that if it was a celebration over slavery, there would be no need to reference a hireling because slaves weren't getting paid nothing.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So that is an attempt when people refer to this third stanza and say it's a celebration of conquering slaves. Well, nobody who were slave owners really wanted to kill their slaves. They wanted to keep them so they could work.
Yeah.
You know, and it also applied when some even other peoples from all over the world who were conquered by England. England would force them to fight some of their battles. So that is what Francis Scott Key is talking about. And I would encourage you to read the entirety of the Star Spangled Banner so you can see the entirety of the context. For example, the 4th stanza I will read that is not sang very often, but I'll read it now. Oh, thus be it ever when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace may the heaven rescued land. Praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just. And this be our motto, in God is our trust. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. This is a perfect example of why I routinely suggest that every parent of children should strongly consider how they want to educate their children. When we are robbed and deprived of aspects of history, we should ask ourselves, why do they want to keep these things hidden from us? I would suggest to you the reason why it's kept is because they want to aid a particular narrative.
Yeah.
Now, none of this is to say Francis Scott Key's personal opinion on slavery. All I am saying is that the Star-Spangled Banner does not have any slavery in its consideration, which is why people like Frederick Douglass considered it to be a great song, who was routinely recorded as playing the Star-Spangled Banner on his own violin, which is why for over 200 years, none of the abolitionists who gave their lives in opposing slavery thought anything was negative about the Star-Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
It is because the Star-Spangled Banner has no consideration whatsoever about slavery. Now, Francis Scott Key's personal issues with American slavery, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But I just want to explain the context of the national anthem itself.
Yeah.
And to make sure that we are not conflating issues when they don't need to be conflated.
Truth. We're about wisdom. We're about empowerment. Urban Family Talk.